All right. Hello. Welcome to the eLearning Hot Seat. My name is Ladek. I am with LMSPulse.com, Open LMS, and the eLearning Success Summit. All of those brands, melted into one. I'm excited to have everybody here today. And I'm even more excited to have my guest, Anatoliy Kochnev from IntelliBoard, Anatoliy, sorry. You and I were joking earlier in the green room that we have been working almost a decade together, our companies, but you and I have never been in the same room.
Yes.
This is a very, very sad state of affairs.
Well, now it changed, right? So now I hope you'll see me more.
Absolutely. Anatoliy, you're the CEO and co-founder of IntelliBoard. Tell us about, I was kind of looking over your LinkedIn earlier, actually, as we were prepping for this. You've been a Moodle guy forever. You have been in the sort of open source space forever. I just want to start because it's really an interesting story. How did you get here, and what was the genesis of IntelliBoard? How did you wake up one day and you're like, this needs to be done?
Well, that's a long story. So I was not born in the United States. I was born in Uzbekistan. So in 2008, I moved here with my family, and prior to that, I actually was involved a lot with Moodle. We even built a school for online school for disabled kids in Uzbekistan. And what happened next is that I got a lot of experience there. I came here, and then later on, when I worked with a lot of companies like Scholastic, Johnson Bartlett Publishing, they all wanted to build an LMS. And at the end of the day, they wanted to build reports where they wanted to see some data. They wanted to see something that can tell them what's going on with the LMS. And that's what I was also doing. I was building those reports, and together with my team, we build a lot. And then on one day, instead of just building one by one, I decided that we need to put them all together. And at that time, SaaS was a really new thing. So we put them all together. We called it IntelliBoard. And companies came to us and said, hey, we're ready to pay you money. And said, well, now it's time to set up a company. And that's how we started. So we set up a company.
Hi, Anatoliy.
Hey.
I'm really sorry. I think Steven has some connectivity issues.
It's not a problem. Yep, I saw. I jumped there and then I'm back. It's no problem.
No, but I'm here. So it's really interesting, and I've always been curious because IntelliBoard is one of its kind in what it offers in the LMS, even though the discussion about e-learning, about LMS data is bigger than ever.
Yeah.
Is it like a very difficult problem to create like a really strong analytics product in education, or what are your thoughts there?
Well, I don't think the problem is to create a software or an application to run those analytics. The problem is to understand exactly what clients would like to see. It's not about just, hey, let's create a code. It's about why and what, why this code will be useful for our clients and what this code will do to make life of our clients easier. And that's what IntelliBoard is all about. So when we think about IntelliBoard and we think about how we present data, how we present reports and analytics, we don't just show you table, we don't just show you dashboards. We can, but we want to give actionable data, access to actionable data, something that people can start using right away, and they don't need to think about it. They don't need to spend extra time analyzing this. So everything's supposed to be simple and intuitive. That's the biggest problem that I see that we need to solve, instead of just, hey, can we just build something?
Yeah. And I think one of the issues, from what I've seen over the years that we've been working with you, is that you do need some background on the math, on the analytics, but then you also need to know what to care about for students. And I think that's not a small problem. And I think it's interesting, and because one of the most common questions, especially for someone who is getting to know about IntelliBoard for the first time and about like analytics, I guess a newbie question is, what does IntelliBoard measure that, say, Google Analytics doesn't measure?
Yeah. Well, when you think about analytics, you think about Google, right? Google Analytics is huge, and it's been there for a while. But analytics is different from business, for education, for website tracking. So we're not tracking how many users came to your website. So this is what Google Analytics does perfectly. We track what your learners do inside your learning management system and how they use the content that you put there and why this content matters to them. When they take a quiz, we don't tell you just, hey, here's a grade that you got by taking that quiz, right? That's a grade book. But we actually telling you, how did your student get to that grade? If student missed a point, if missed a question, we actually tell you why that student missed that question. So based on data that exists in the LMS or in the learning environment, we're telling you the path from the beginning to that specific moment of that specific student. That is what is actionable. So this way, you can actually take a look at the data and you can do something about it. So, and a lot of times, you mentioned about that we need to know math and some other stuff. Yeah, so we started working with predictive analytics, which is very smart thing, really tough thing to do, especially with some LMSs when they do not have all the data that's supposed to be there to support predictiveness. But we're trying to put all this data into IntelliBoard in addition to what LMS provides. And at the end of the day, we don't want you to only look at, see what happened. We actually want you to see what is about to happen, what's happening right now, and what's about to happen. So you, as an instructor, as a teacher, or as a manager, you can jump in and actually start working with your learner to improve results of that learner. That is most important thing for us, and that's what we're trying to resolve.
Right. And well, I guess Steven will be joining us back soon.
Hey, you back?
Hello, friends. How are you? I want to thank my colleague Chris for taking over there. This is why we call the hot seat. I mean, this is totally live without a net, and you know, I can't appreciate him enough. Chris has been backing me up for 5 years now, and he's absolutely fantastic. And Anatoliy, thank you so much for giving us the background on IntelliBoard there. Here's something I want to ask you before. I know you want to talk about IntelliBoard next and some of the innovations that you guys are doing, but give me a couple use cases where, you know, where like one of your favorite stories where it's just like the aha moment, or the, you know, it could either be a corporate client, higher ed client, whatever, where they're just like the before and after, you know, when they started using data analytics and what it meant to them.
Well, there are all of our clients. We know all of them by name, and they all have a fit. And every single client, and we have more than 500, means we have more than 500 use cases, stories that we're eager to share, and they are sharing with their own users every day, right? But few actually that really stand out for me personally. So I just recently posted on my LinkedIn how grateful we are and that we are making the difference. So I always think about, if I'm going to build a company, my company needs to make a difference somehow. It can be helping people in some way. So we are helping learn better by analyzing data, and that's what is good for me. And I think my colleagues, my teammates, they all share this vision. But there is a company called, it's a nonprofit, Education Development Center, and they've been with us for a while. And I posted this use case on our LinkedIn. But here's what they do. They, you know, there is a huge problem about drugs today, right? And what they do, they teach, they pretty much build a platform. It's a psonline.edc.org where it's a preventive solution. So they teach you they teach nurses, they teach teachers, instructors, parents, how to behave with this problem, how to resolve this problem, how to work this problem out. To do that, they wanted to make it available to everyone. And some courses are free, some courses are paid, depending on whatever structures they have, right? But what we've done for them, we used our technology to present this to the world. So they have a ton of users, more than 100,000 users on an annual basis taking these courses. And they learn how to solve the problem by using our technology. That's a real problem. So we are solving the real problem. Another, and this is more like corporate, I would say, more nonprofit use case. Another use case, I really love schools. My mom is a teacher. My grandmother was a teacher. My wife is a teacher.
I probably have like 40 teachers in my family. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I just love them, and I want to make sure that they're supported. And we work with a few virtual schools, and recently, one of the virtual schools we work with, they said, "Well, we do love your analytics. We use it, teachers use it, but not as much as actually we need to solve another problem. The problem is that they need to track attendance." To track attendance, but not just attendance. They actually talk to students on a daily basis, and they need to make a record of that. So they need to put this data into LMS, which is not possible because LMS does not allow that to do, right? So, and then they need to run reports together with learning data that they have inside LMS. They have to merge it with this new data that they just put together, and they need to see other learning reports. So my team, we sat together, we listened, and we came up with a product. It's called InContact. And using this InContact, they actually able to enter data, look at data that already exists, merge it with what they just entered, and keep tracking the data. And we now solved another problem. And teachers are using it on a daily basis, and it's easy for them. And they don't have to waste their time documenting somewhere and then pushing it to another system like SIS and pushing it into another system to LMS, because teachers need to teach, right? That's their job. And everything else that they do is just waste. It's waste of their time. And their time is very important. It's poorly paid time. And I wish that teachers were paid as much as many big CEOs, right, today in the world, but they deserve it. But they are really awesome in teaching. So we want to give them this opportunity to focus on what they do best. Another case, higher ed, and again, we can talk about it forever. So community colleges, right? So community colleges, they funded by the state, right? And the state needs to see reports. We have a client, they have multiple colleges in one system, and each college is using own LMS. Some use Blackboard, some use Moodle, some use Canvas, D2L, Sakai, whatever, right? It's their choice. But all of them use IntelliBoard. And because IntelliBoard is so unique, you can connect it to any LMS. You see your data in exactly the same view, always. And you don't really care about your LMS when you look at IntelliBoard. It's always the same data coming to it. You look at it as the same dashboard, what is actionable for you. But most important, your state, your system office can look at data coming from all of these colleges at one time, and that is what unique. And once, and we're talking about the current system, but IntelliBoard Next is going to be completely new for that as well. It's going to bring even more features. But what IntelliBoard does today, we try to bring data from multiple sources into one place, and that source can be LMS, as what we do today, and in the future we're actually going to releasing a feature when you can bring data from SIS, from your Zoom, from anything else that you use in your learning environment in your organization, and you can see it in one place. That's a real problem solving, because how can you have 50, 60, 100 locations, and you need to get all this data? So you basically need to go and spend your time on each location to get this report. So what we did, we improved it from like months of time spent on reports to a couple hours. A lot of money. That's a lot of money that state doesn't need to pay to employees. It's not that they don't pay employees. Now employees can actually focus on what they're supposed to do, because reporting is supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be simple and intuitive, and that's what our vision is. Make access to data simple and intuitive. So that's what we do.
I'm speaking with Anatoliy Kochnev, co-founder and CEO of IntelliBoard. If you're listening on LinkedIn right now, Facebook, YouTube, you can put a comment in. Throw a comment in underneath the video here right now. Anatoliy would love to take your questions, even if I know IntelliBoard has been around forever. It's one of the industry standards now. But if you just want to give a thumbs up, say, hey, I love it, we use it, that's great. But if you do have a really, any kind of question at all about use cases, about what it's for, how it works, throw it in the chat there, and we will see it, and we'll talk about it in a second. And it's only, as you were just talking there, something that kind of came out in my mind was, we love to see the power of how technology can help us as educators. You wrapped it up and tied it really nicely there. It's like, we want to be learners, right? Like we want to help our learners, and we don't want to spend our time reporting. I mean, if you listen to any teacher, what's their worst thing? They're like, how much time do I spend grading? Like, oh my gosh. But then you're like, wow, the data can come from anywhere, and then it can be consolidated, and it can bubble up to the state level. Talk to me about privacy issues. Talk to me about how do you anonymize data? Is this something that I need to be concerned about as a learner, or how does that work in the ecosystem of whatever clients that you're working with?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So first of all, we are GDPR compliant. So that was, as soon as the GDPR came out, we had to get into this, study this, what it is all about, and then get everything done to comply. But what is important, I guess, it's not about legal stuff or laws. It's just normal people. Is my data safe, right? We have to be able to answer that question without looking at GDPR or any other regulations. So student data or user data, right? So there are a few things that we do. First, obviously, we have all our servers secure and everything, but this is standard. We host with AWS, but again, this is all standard. But what we do to prevent. So first of all, it is a requirement that all our clients have full access to their own data. And we do not keep, like when you work with Moodle, we never keep your data on our servers. It's always real time. When we work with Canvas or D2L, they have their own data hubs that actually responsible for that security. But while that's all on back end, on the front end, when we work with users and we have, let's take a look at school or college, right? They have instructors or teachers, and teachers need to look at data of students they teach. So they can actually only look at data of students that they teach. They cannot go into other kids. Managers cannot go into other employees that they're not responsible for. Once you have administrative access, you can see all the data, but well, you are an administrator, right? So you are supposed to, and but it's very limited on the front end. And when it comes to students, especially right now when we work with student dashboards in Moodle and teacher dashboards in Moodle, it's all located on actual LMS. So we do have great number of partners, and they host their own Moodle sites. So data stays over there. The way it works that the JSON object actually comes to us through REST protocol, and basically you only see what you see on your screen. And once you click that refresh button, it refreshes. Done. Now that's what is currently there. With new features coming out, with new development that we're doing on IntelliBoard, this will change depending on the customer needs. Some customers that we have actually require us to have all of their data located on their service only, and we do have that availability. So we actually put IntelliBoard on premises, and they have full access to it. So we keep the whole thing, LMS and IntelliBoard on their server locations. A lot of times, if you're GDPR compliant and you show that you are, and we do have data privacy officer who's responsible for that, we pretty much comply with all regulations, and it works. It's all about requirements that individual clients provide to us. Right. But we always want to show them where their data is. So when we contract with them, we actually provide them the data map where we show every single step where each the data object will go to. Again, it depends on LMS as well. So some LMSs do allow us to keep data within LMS, some do not, and we have to go around that as well. So many people working around data privacy and making sure that data is secure. And I can say that as of now, like we never had any complaints with customers, so data was secure. Will it change? Will we keep data on our premises? Probably in some time, right? And why? Well, the only reason we keep the data is because we want to analyze it better and bring it back to our clients. We are not Facebook, we're not like LinkedIn, where you can actually put advertisement. We don't advertise anything. If you go to our website, there is zero advertisement, and that's how it's going to be forever. We do, it's a subscription-based service, right? However, we use data to make predictions. We use data to make recommendations. So when we talk about, hey, students taking a quiz, and we need to analyze it, take that quiz. Well, we need to take the data, analyze it, and then we can recommend them a book to read. Like if we're talking about literature and student is failing it, maybe we can, looking at the data, we can recommend what is the next step that student needs to take, and what is the next book we can recommend, together with an instructor, together with a teacher. So when we do work with data, we always try to rely on our partners or our customers, clients. So we recommend to them first, and then they can approve it, and so we can take it to end users like learners and students and users.
Fantastic, thank you. That was like such an incredibly detailed
yeah, it's not even technical yet.
I love that you totally geeked out on the JSON and the REST protocol and like that. Like, I'm lucky enough to know what that means, but that's fantastic. Again, just a reminder to everybody listening right now, it's Anatoliy Kochnev, who is the CEO and co-founder of IntelliBoard, which is, again, one of the standards, really, honestly, of data analytics with learning management systems, with what are learners doing, and how are they doing it. On that note, I want to sneak the conversation into what's coming next. So and in order to do that, before we really dive into what is IntelliBoard next, tell me how you saw usage change over the last 16 to 18 months with the pandemic. Obviously, everybody knows, we all went online overnight. Did you see sort of the evolution of people saying, oh gosh, I just got to get all of my classes online, or I got to put my training online, got to get my remote team on, and you kind of were in the background, and then now people are like, okay, wait, this is actually working. Now, what can we learn from that? Do I have that kind of arc of the story correct, or
I guess it's a symbiosis of everything. I guess it's everything in one place. So I say this, something like this, what we are doing right now actually happened already. We started looking into this about 5 years ago when we just started, but our customers were not ready. The way I see development is that our clients must be ready for what's coming. If they're not ready, we can't sell it, or we cannot offer it. It's just not going to be useful. People will not understand how to use it, right? So could we have flying machines, like flying cars? Well, now, no, we can't have flying cars now because there is no regulations.
Spoiler alert! I actually have a friend working on a flying car right now.
Yeah, but just recently, in Russia, they launched a rocket into the space station with people to make a movie over there, right? So this is huge. So, but people are ready for that. So the same thing with us. When we were going to build what is coming in the next few days, actually, we looked at it this way. So do we have our clients ready for this or not? Like before, today, what we're about to present, we can have data from learning management system, from student information system, from any collaboration or conference tools, or any assessment tool, put it together into IntelliBoard, merge it, federate it, and present it to users, and they can actually filter it, they can sort it, they can do whatever they need with the data without knowing how to code. They don't need to know how to code. Teachers can do it. Parents can do it. More than that, there is a parent app coming out that they will be able to use it for free. What is important that they need to have simple access to the data. And when we look at it, 5 years ago, could we do this? No, because not many companies, not many schools, not many universities, they actually used HR systems a lot, or SIS systems a lot, right? But today, it's a big hit. So when COVID happened, well, unfortunately, that created a big problem for all of us, for humanity, right? But in the edtech world, it actually accelerated everything. So everyone wanted to build something new, and you saw like a lot of new services came out, a lot of new small systems, big systems, a lot of money were dumped into building something great. And all of that something great started to leave some kind of data trail. And I call it data trail name. So somebody needed to analyze that. And we are only focusing on learning analytics. We don't do business analytics. We don't do anything else but that. But so what we wanted to focus on creating a platform, not a product, not a tool that you use on top of your LMS, but now it's a platform where you can integrate multiple sources into one place and you see all of your data in one dashboard. That works really well. We have great feedback from our testers, from companies that we selected as our alpha testers, and they some said, "Yep, that's perfect, that works." Some said, "Well, you know what? We need more." So we actually started building more. But this is an ongoing process. We will never be done with IntelliBoard. There is something else. Something else is coming, either in a month, in a year, or 2 years. But our path from tool to platform started when we just started IntelliBoard. So we were a plugin for Moodle. We then quickly became top 10 most downloadable local plugins for Moodle. Then we started integrating with Canvas, Blackboard, D2L, everyone else. Last year, we integrated with other LMSs like, Tatara was part of Moodle world, but then we had the Chibo, we had Google Classroom, we had other systems, Sakai, we have this LMS called Elias, really awesome, and that is, that's an European one. But then we looked at that learning environment is really non-LMS anymore. Learning environment went from LMS to learning environment. It's a whole environment where you can have SAS, you can have a Zoom, and you can really do online classes using Zoom, right? And nothing else. Or you can just post something in Google Classroom as a teacher, and that's enough for you. But again, we needed to analyze all of that data, and that's what we did.
And so I hope this isn't too much of a curveball of a question, but again, many people who are showing up here are course creators. They are masterclass creators. They are people who subject matter experts who, they've written a book and now they're creating a course out of it. Does IntelliBoard work with things like Coursera, Udemy, these kinds of other teachable, these types of platforms, or is that something that you have a vision for, or?
This is on our roadmap to connect all of these platforms, and we are going towards that. So we started with Thinkific. It's another corporate kind of tool platform where you can teach your courses. We looked into Coursera, we looked into Udemy. Again, the base for all this integration is not just, hey, let's look at your data, what you've done, right? Because they all have the specific grade book, some kind of grade book. So it's about story. What your learning tells you about what kind of story your learning tells us. So we are focusing on storytelling. We don't want to be the platform where you only go and see your data as a table. We actually want our platform to explain it to you. So one of the features that we will have, once you connect all these environments, including Coursera and including others in the future, not right now. Right now, it's not yet there, but it's coming. We have our plot of LMSs, environment platforms that we will be connecting as a phase one. But what we're focusing on is actually on storytelling. So why this is important to you? So why this course that you build an instructor actually works? Or what exactly student is not getting and why? And so how is it related to your content that you put as an instructor? So maybe students spend 5 seconds on your SCORM package that you just built because your SCORM package didn't really load well, or it was so huge that student didn't think that student has enough time to look at it, right? Just pretty much glance through and that's it. So, and then we have this problem in schools, right? When my own kids, they come to me and they have a great grade. So, yep, they probably spend some time on it. But when they come here with some kind of grade that they failed the test, well, I don't want to see the failed test. I don't want to see the grade that he got or she got. I want to see why What happened?
Right.
So what exactly? What was the path? That's what we are focusing on. So I see a question Pablo asked in comments that
I was
talks
just
about
say, yeah, Pablo
readiness.
Borban,
Yeah.
yes, he
So
said, what are your thoughts about helping with readiness? So then it says, what role do you think IntelliBoard has in data literacy, and what's your vision about making the analytics and experimentation practice more accessible? And I mean, I gotta thank Pablo. That was a mouthful. So let's just talk about readiness first of all.
yeah. So again, we're going to talk about our product growth, right? So how did we get from tool to platform? So obviously we were focusing on institutional access to analytics. We actually getting to personal analytics. So I do not believe that in the next 5 years, still institutions will own all of this data. I believe that users will own this data, but users will need to do something with it. So again, I'm a student today. I'm in a 11th grade, 10th grade, and I'm using LMS, and I have some kind of PowerSchool SIS or other systems in my school that my school is using. So there is a lot of data coming in and getting out. I need to analyze that data so myself. Then I'm going to college, and in order to get to college, I want my system, my data to tell me what I'm good about. So that's what we are focusing on. But then once I finish my college, I want to get a really great job, and I want my data to tell me what I'm good about, not what just what I want. It's will I be able to get it, and not just a will. What do I need to do to get it? And when I get that job, I want to be able to share my data, my learning experience with everyone else. So personal learning analytics is going to be very huge very soon. Are we ready for it today? No. Today we're not ready. I believe in the next 5 years it's going to be big. Now, personal learning analytics come with recommendations. So once you have a course and once you took that course, what's next for you? What is your goal for your learning? What goal is getting a job is your goal? Yes. Okay. So this is what you need to do to get the job, right? This is how much you need to learn and what exactly you need to learn. And that's what the path that we want to show to every single learner or every single student. And it should not really based on what instructors are telling you, because again, in school we have teachers, but at Coursera, you can take any course, or Udemy, you take your courses without any instructors, right? So you just want to learn on your own. And that will happen more and more in the future. Will we have schools in the future? Yes, absolutely, because school is not about just education. School is about creating that individual, as a human individual, right? That can actually learn. So it gives you such skills that you will be using in the future, and you cannot get it on your own. So I strongly believe that data that is there today will be transformed into personal data, and users will be using it more for their own benefit, not just institutions.
100%. I love how you've characterized that so nicely, that the evolution that we're seeing in education across the entire spectrum, from a kindergartner all the way to the adult lifelong learner, it's really profound. And I've never really thought about it in terms of personal data access and understanding where's my learning journey going, and how what are the steps I need to take to get there. That's fantastic. Take us now to, you've already alluded to it several times now, but take us now to what IntelliBoard Next is. Just kind of spell it out for us. I mean, you're going from tool to platform. What's that going to mean for your existing user base? What's that going to mean for learners that are accessing it, or administrators that are accessing it, etc.?
So, well, first of all, it's all about how we look at data and kind of data. So if we kind of break your question into products, business, and end game for this. So as a product, we will have features like storytelling, where with a click of a button, you can transform the whole dashboard, the whole table into a narrative story where you can just read and it will be analyzed for you, presented to you. So most important stuff that you need to know, actionable stuff, will be presented to you right away. But there is a lot of AI work behind.
I was just going to ask, that's got to be AI driven, right?
Yes, and we have great people. We have great team of developers. We have developers from all over the world, and really, really bright people. Predictive analytics is something that we are making available for every single LMS. So, in a couple of years, now more than a couple of years, Moodle had predictive analytics models, right? They were pretty much preset models, and they were great. Now we took it to the next level when it's not just for Moodle, it's for any LMS, because IntelliBoard Next is not about one LMS. IntelliBoard Next is about learning data that comes from all of the systems into one place. So predictive analytics, something that every single one user, every teacher, every instructor, manager will be able to use with no need to learn how to code again, how to build those models. Everything will be pre-built for them. Now, if you want to build, you can always do that. So ability to understand these recommendations that the platform will be making, not we, the platform based on your data, will be making to you, that will be very, very, very simplified. Then a lot of natural language processing. We want data to be so simple that anyone can understand. Today, you can talk to IntelliBoard. It's simple, but you can talk to IntelliBoard, ask questions like, how many students started my class and how many actually finished my class, right? Over the period of time, and it will give you the whole report about it. And we want to expand on that. Behavior analytics. It's not about what you see as a 1 or 0, right, on your report. It's about interaction. It's about participation, pacing. So these great words that mean a lot. So it means that we don't want only to look at your final score. We want to understand how you got to this. And this is becoming even simpler than it is today. And it all comes to, again, I'm going to talk about personal learning analytics. That's the result of it. That's what's coming at the very, very end. Now, when it comes to our clients, well, we very soon we're going to be announcing the release. So everyone will be able to switch. At IntelliCon, we will be giving out codes that everyone, those who first users will be getting those codes, and they will be able to start using IntelliBoard Next right away. The only thing they will need to do is pretty much update the plugin, nothing else. Or if they do need a plugin, like if it's a Canvas or Blackboard, there is no need for even that, so they can just connect and start using it right away. When it comes to clients, everyone will be able to see data not just from LMS, but again, if they use Ellucian products, they will be able to see it. If they use Microsoft products like Teams, Zoom, they will be able to see it. If they use other products like PowerSchool or any other SAS, we'll be able to see that data right away. Now, not everything will be available right away. We will probably be launching it in batches. It's really hard. We want to make sure that success of our clients is number one for everyone. So our client success team is getting ready for this, and they're amazing. Today we know that people ask a lot of questions. We get 300, 400 questions every month, and our client success is handling really well. Within a few minutes, we're getting all these responses back. And but it takes time, right? It takes time to understand client needs. So we actually have to do it slowly, not just release it to everyone. And at the end of the day, the end game is that the data will be more accessible to everyone. It's just, you know how to code, you write your own report through IntelliBoard. You don't need to have access to database. You just have IntelliBoard there, and you start writing reports for anything. You don't know how to code, it's okay. It's pretty much drag and drop service where you can just drag stuff. So we're gonna give IntelliBoard Next will give you a very simple way to see all of the whole database pretty much translated into normal language. And language, it's not just English, it's every language that we work with today. What is most important is that we want you guys to use it on daily basis for your own benefit. It's so we will translate it into many languages as needed, but it's supposed to be simple. It's supposed to be simple to everyone. So again, we're trying to keep going with our vision where we always say that access to data should be simple and intuitive.
So one of the things, is this a feature? I guess is the question I want to ask. Like, I'm envisioning a IntelliBoard Next, and you were mentioning like the parent app or something like this. Are you building in features where this could kind of maybe even become a reporting to a student or a nudge to a student? It's like, hey, we noticed that you you have an assignment and you didn't turn in that assignment, and maybe they'll get a notification on their phone or something like that that says, this assignment's due. Or is that in the works as well?
That's already in works, and that will be available right away as well. So already today, it's available with standard IntelliBoard subscriptions that we have today. IntelliBoard Next, it just improves that. It's just taking it to the next level. That will include recommendations and predictive analytics and everything. But already today, you can actually set up your notifications when your students will know exactly that they fell below specific score, right? Specific grade, and contact teacher, or teacher will get that notification as well. Parent will get that notification. But we're now making it more easy to understand, easy to use. Yes. So notifications, it's another way to see data. And we love notifications, so we call it Conditional Event Notification Center. So and it's going to be really great.
Fantastic. Final question: what's IntelliCon? You've mentioned it a couple of times now.
Yeah.
And before you answer that, though, I want to remind everybody you are Anatoliy Kochnev, CEO and co-founder of IntelliBoard. You have a few more minutes here before we wrap this up, because we're going to start talking about IntelliCon. But if you do have a question, please throw it in the chat there, and we will either get it now, or if you miss it and you're listening to this on the recording, we will be answering those questions afterwards. So please don't feel that if you're watching the recording you can't ask a question as well. But yeah, so IntelliCon, it's coming up. It's your first conference. What are we going to see there?
Well, I would not say that it's a conference. What we wanted to
unconference.
Right. What we wanted to do, we wanted to make it an environment where everyone can share their data stories. So stories about data, how they use stories, but it should not be us. We will be talking, we'll be telling them how to use our tools, what's new, what's coming. But we wanted to hear from our clients. And that is very important for me personally, to hear how clients use products that I created, products that I spent a lot of years on this, right? How my team spent their valuable time on this. And IntelliCon is a user conference where users will be talking about how they used IntelliBoard to solve their problems, or how they use data to solve their problems. It's not about just IntelliBoard. We do have a lot of sessions where we will talk about how LMS can be used, but it's all about how data inside the LMS can be used. What's next? What kind of problems we're solving for education, for our clients, for K-12, for higher ed, for corporate customers, right? And we have great partners joining us. And they will be talking about how to utilize their tools together with IntelliBoard and bring even more functionalities to our end users. But again, at the end of the day, IntelliCon is all about our users, how they use data to solve their problems. And that was the goal of it. We called it IntelliCon because we pretty much everything is about IntelliBoard, right? So we have IntelliBoard, we have IntelliCards, we have IntelliCon now. So we just love that. IntelliTeam, our Instagram tag is IntelliTeam, when we show how our team celebrates their work, what they do. So it's all about IntelliBoard, but at the end of the day, IntelliBoard is all about data. It's about how data is being used. So we wanted to highlight this, and we wanted to make it available to everyone. This is our first time when we're doing this. We already have great number of participants, and what is important to us, it's not about number. Like, I don't want millions of people to be there. We will not be able to hold them, right? But I want millions to know about it. So if I can share benefits of what we do, or how data can be used in education with 100 people or 500 people, and they can take it to others, to another 500 each, right? We will reach millions this way. And that's the goal of it.
Mm-hmm. Anatoliy Kochnev, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today on the hot seat. Once again, I want to give a shout out to my colleague, Chris, who took over there in the beginning when my internet connection went down, unfortunately. Here, you never can quite tell what's going to happen there in the interwebs. But again, CEO and co-founder of IntelliBoard. If you haven't seen IntelliBoard yet, please go check it out. And then obviously go over to IntelliCon, and you're going to hear some great stories. I love how you put that, the stories that data tell. And you know, if you haven't used IntelliBoard before, if you haven't dove into what learning analytics can tell you about how you can create success for your learners, this could be the event for you. What day is it happening again?
It's actually happening this Thursday. So
this Thursday. Oh my gosh, in 2 days, October 14th.
2 days, yes.
You know, be a part of it. All right.
Yeah, and there will be 3 days. So it's not just one day. We actually split it for North America and South America, and then we have it in Europe, and then we will have it in APAC region as well. So check it out.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today. Wish you well.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.